match 9 of day 1 of the 8th Alliance tournament. We have the Wrong Alliance versus Majesta Empire. And for the Wrong Alliance, we have fielded 2 Drakes, 3 Nighthawks, a Dremiel, and 3 Stilettos.
And from Majesta Empire, we have a Claymore, 3 Sleipnir, a Hugin, 1 Scimitar, 3 Sabers, and a Thrasher. Looks like a missile gank setup versus a speed gank setup. No logistics ships on the field for the Wrong Alliance. Let's see if they're able to hold up against this speed damage Matari fit.
And an interesting note, you will see that there are only 9 ships fielded for the Wrong Alliance. Someone obviously got their maths wrong in the Wrong Alliance, couldn't count what 60 days means, and unfortunately one of their Drake pilots has been removed for violating the 60 days in the Alliance rules. So down 1 ship already in this rather important match in the finals. Who's your money going to be on, Angel?
I've liked what Majesta Empire has brought previously. They have seemed to favor the Matari heavy setups, and I particularly like the speed versus missile setups because missiles are notoriously difficult to hit without an adequate number of target painters. And it looks like the match is underway. We're seeing a ton of drones come out from the Wrong Alliance.
Yeah, we can see there straight away the Wrong Alliance dropping an absolute horde of Warrior 2s, medium shield maintenance bots and light shield maintenance bots on the field for Majesta Empire. We've also got wow, not a lot of damage actually, surprising, considering how many drones have been dropped.
There was certainly a load of damage to Majesta Empire. The first Saber is already down with the second dripping deep into shield. The Scimitar may have been asleep at the beginning, or the alpha from all those drones arriving at the same time, just too much to handle for the Saber. Really interesting that the support seemed to be incredibly important in this tournament.
Yeah, it's bizarre. We've seen it quite a bit. People getting rid of these interdictors and destroyers off the field pretty quick because they're used as very effective dampen platforms. Again, the Wrong Alliance, no casualties so far. One of the Nighthawks has looked like it's taken a really bad beating.
It looks like that Nighthawk could have a smart bomb on it. No, sorry, that was a missile exploding effect.
He does. Yeah, he does. He has EMP smart bombs.
He does have
fitted.
an EMP smart bomb. Okay. The Majesta Empire hitting a very heavily tanked Nighthawk at this point, but really drilling his shields down. He's starting to bleed into armor with the Majesta Empire Scimitar now going down very, very rapidly. Could be a major, major disadvantage for Majesta Empire. We are looking at -1 Nighthawk for the Wrong Alliance, and now -1 Stiletto, so that another tackler off the field.
Yeah, it's could all be going pear-shaped. It's not looking too good. We can see that on the tactical overlay, which has actually just vanished as I started to talk. These 2 teams came in below the beacon, roughly about 50 to 60 kilometers apart, so they've had a fair trek to get to each other to actually get the DPS down. Minmatar ships obviously famed for their immense fall-off, especially with autocannons, fast-firing turrets. But the bulk of Majesta Empire's DPS remain intact despite the loss of all their EW and all their frigate support.
Well, there is still the all-too-critical Hugin still on the field for Majesta Empire. Hopefully he has at least 1 target painter taking advantage of his bonus. Perhaps they spread that E-Warfare a little bit across their team. Those webs really able to keep the tacklers in place for the Wrong Alliance. It was interesting to note that although the Matari teams would be famed for their speed, the damage put onto the Wrong Alliance at the start was not very heavy. But we're seeing heavily tanked ships like that second Nighthawk for the Wrong Alliance go down in a hurry. It looks like a race to the finish at this point, and I would have called this for Majesta Empire from the beginning because of that initial penalty against them, but it seems that the missile shield tanking ships may be able to hang on.
Yeah, and this is actually an awesome use of the Stiletto. We're seeing the Stilettos here actually being used for target painting, which is fairly effective. I mean, they have 4 mids. They're a hell of a little tackler, a really good hook frigate. So yeah, it's good to see that people are thinking outside the box. They're starting to use interceptors for ECM. We've just lost one of the Sleipnirs there.
And I believe that's our FC actually from fighting them up north. I'm pretty sure that's a guy I used to keep my eye on last I've seen. I'm almost positive he will be their team's FC. Without the ability to pod on the field, he should be still on the field able to call targets, but perhaps not able to support his team in any other meaningful way. It appears that the Majesta Empire team is getting damage split between the Hugin and the Sleipnir, but it seems that Fire is now being focused on the Sleipnir, with it wielding some smart bombs. But interestingly enough, it doesn't. Those smart bombs don't seem to be affecting the drones around it. The Warrior 2 is either able to hang on quite well, or wow, that Drake
just lost a Drake there as well from the wrong alliance.
I'm really happy about that. I
Yeah,
don't like Drakes.
It's always good to see Drakes die. We can see there as well, command ships in use again with smart bombs to clear out drones. It was first used, we saw on the first weekend of AT8. And it's a really interesting tactic. It's developed over the last couple of weeks, and we're seeing a lot of teams now use that extra utility high on a lot of the command ships just to field a smart bomb, just to try and scare those drones away, so that they can obviously not have like an EC600 or an EC300, or maybe a logistics drone, an allied logistics drone on top of them.
It looks like Majesta Empire is going to trade a Sleipnir for a Stiletto. Perhaps the loss of the target painter will negate some of the damage coming into them. I believe Naomi Wildfire will be taking the next primary from the wrong alliance, and that Stiletto is still holding on by the skin of its teeth at the moment.
It's interesting to see that the Hugin for Majesta Empire is doing an awesome job. He's got this Drake and this Nighthawk both pinned down and webbed very heavily. We can see there that Drake just starting to lose his shields quite rapidly now that he's pinned still, and he's been target painted by those two Stilettos.
They're doing a fantastic job. That props to the Hugin pilot, probably flying the Rapier much more often on the Tranquility server. However, they are generally similar styles of play, especially when you're attempting to hold an opponent in place for the heavy DPS of this fleet. Not a lot of DPS remaining on the field, though the Sleipnir has a respectable amount of guns on it, about 7, which is interesting. It's a nice ship for that single smart bomb because it has extremely solid speed. It has the extra grid and CPU to fit that smart bomb, and it's best when it's up close, when it's actually fighting just on the edge of fall-off and optimal. So being able to switch to fleet EMP at those close ranges is really nice, and that's what we're seeing now from Naomi Wildfire.
Yeah, just about to hit armor there though. Yeah, hitting armor really badly. In fact, it looks as if we're going to lose a Sleipnir there for Majesta Empire. But it's actually interesting to see people still feeding these all-Matari loadouts of ships after what's happened to a couple of teams. We saw Star Fraction get really, really badly battered by fielding all one race. And we've seen it time and time again that people are fitting Ladar racials, basically, purely because of the fact that they're going with, a lot of people are going with Dramiels, a lot of people are going with Minmatar command ships. And it's really interesting to see people risking fielding really heavy Matari-orientated setups during the finals when they really need to start switching things up. I believe
it was Kill2 who mentioned it before, but with the limited size of this arena, Matari does seem to fit the general boundary with which the rules place on these teams. Being able to move about the arena at will with the inability to warp is quite important, and the Minmatar ships really are the best at getting from point A to B, not to sound like Darius.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there still an absolute cloud of Warrior 2s out on the field. We have pretty much not a great deal of else other than Valkyries. It's all Minmatar drones as well, funnily enough. We can see there remaining Sleipnir, one Claymore, beg my pardon, left for Majesta Empire on the field. It looks as if, well, not convincingly, but it looks as if the wrong alliance are going to take this, despite being one ship down at the start of the match.
It was just a Drake. You know, it's not really that crucial of a ship.
Nah, it could have been a ham Drake.
It could have been a ham Drake, yes. Isn't that what Dystopia brought?
I do believe so, yes.
That's true. It seems to be really a matter of time, only a matter of time at this point. The Claymore slowly dying from the remaining heavy DPS of the Nighthawk. The Dramiel seems to be in near mint condition with the Stiletto barely hanging on. I would be surprised if he takes any more damage at this point. Not a conclusive victory for Majesta for the wrong alliance, but really upending one of the better Northern Coalition teams that have been fielded to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's well, I wouldn't have really called this one way or the other. I was thinking that probably it would have gone to the wrong lines at the start of the match, but with them being a ship down, I considered it 50-50. We saw a really strong, what I would consider a really strong loadout, despite being Matari from Majesta Empire. They are good ships. It's a good race to field in the tournament, as you've explained. But I think that I would have thought that a lot of people would be moved and sort of kind of tempted to move away from it, just because of the fact that everyone seems to be fielding very heavy Matari-orientated ECM.
That's true. I mean, we had teams that tried to counter that and got slapped in the face for it. CVA in the second weekend, traditionally not wielding their Amar ships, but the team against them was unable to jam those all Amar ships. So it's a lot of mind games, not necessarily meta games, but you have to think one step ahead of your opponent. I don't think that really came into play at this in this juncture. It's interesting that the Minmatar speed really didn't seem to come into play very much here. It didn't help them tank, it didn't help them survive, obviously. And it looks like the wrong alliance, despite being penalized in the beginning, will defeat Majesta Empire and move on to the next round. Back to you, Soundwave.